across America are.
Oh, hold on.
Oh my
All
God.
right, now start. I already started it.
Women across America are affected by the gender pay gap daily. Hi, my name is Sage Whaley, and I'm here to discuss the issues surrounding the gender pay gap. One might ask, what is the gender pay gap? It's the average difference between salaries of both men and women, with women getting paid significantly less than men. The pay gap has been closing since the Equal Pay Act of 1963, but has recently seen a plateau. The gender wage gap shows how women get paid less than their male counterparts for the same job and introduce possible solutions to help correct the gender pay gap. During this speech, I will talk about what the gender pay gap is, how it personally affects women, and how it affects their lives through work, and possible solutions to correct the gender wage gap. The first topic that I'm introducing today is what the pay gap is. It is the gap between what women and men are paid through workforce. According to Deborah J. Vaggins in the website article, The Simple Truth About the Gender Pay Gap, it refers to the median annual pay of all women who work full-time year-round compared to the pay of similar cohort of men. Other estimates of the gender pay gap are based on weekly or hourly earnings or are specific to a particular group of women. The online website, the Center for American Progress, written by Sarah Jane Glenn, says the pay gap is calculated by dividing the median earnings of full-time year-round working women by the median earnings of full-time year-round working men, all rounded to the nearest $100. However, the average median gap of the country is not the same for each state. Each state varies because each state has a different pay ratio for women and men. Take California and New York have one of the smallest wage gaps at 90%, whereas Louisiana and Alabama have one of the largest, roughly 70%. A lot of it has to do with like California and New York being Democratic, and more of the southern states and Republican states have a larger wage gap. The online article, The Narrowing but Persistent Gender Gap in Pay, written by Nikki Graff, Anna Brown, and Eileen Patton, published by Pew Research Center on April 11th, 2014, says the wage gap has narrowed since the 1980s, but has remained relatively stable over the past 15 years. For my second topic of choice, I am going to discuss how the pay gap affects women in the workforce and in their personal lives. The gender wage gap has slowly been increasing since 1963 when the Equal Pay Act was signed, with women earning 59 cents to every man's dollar during the 1960s and 1970s. It's roughly half the pay of men. According to the online webpage, The Wage Gap Over Time, in real dollars, women seeing a continuing gap published by the National Committee of Pay Equity. Women have seen a slight increase over the past 15 years, but not nearly as much as needed. On average, women working full-time earn 80.7 cents for every dollar a full-time man works. Additionally, women's pay earn about $9,909 less than men's, as reported by Business Insider in their online article, 7 Charts that show the glaring gap between men and women's salaries in the U.S., written by Sonam Seth, Cheyenne Gao, and Andy Kirsch on August 26, 2019. A factor that contributes to the wage gap even further is the color of a woman's skin. Asian women face the smallest wage gap at 97% of what white men earn. White women earn 67% of what white men earn. 79% of what white men do. While black women earn just 67% and Hispanic women earn just 58% of what white men do, as stated in the Business Insider article mentioned earlier in the paragraph. Another factor that works against women is motherhood, especially. The Pew Research Center says that family caregiving responsibilities, particularly motherhood, can lead to interruptions in career paths for women and have a lasting impact on their careers. With all of these factors that contribute to the gender pay gap, the Institute for Women's Policy Research estimates that equal pay will not be reached until 2059. Lastly, I will discuss possible solutions to correct the gender pay gap. Forbes mentions in his online article Closing the Gender Pay Gap, What Women, Employers, and Government Can Do, written by Richard Eisenberg on April 4th, 2019, says that employers could be required to share their gender pay gap data with the federal government to help hold them accountable, along with employers being banned from punishing employees from talking about their salary and pay wages, and from asking job applicants about their prior salaries. Another method that they promote is employers publicly disclosing their wage gaps, and they use pay audits to reduce them and the more forthcoming about pay, telling job seekers whether salary is negotiable or providing salary ranges. These are all solutions to close the gender pay gap, but companies have to apply these solutions to the workforce for there to be any improvement to the gender wage gap. I'm proud to sit here and introduce and explain what the gender pay gap is and how it mainly affects women throughout the workforce. Women all around the country are affected by the pay gap, not just in work but in their daily lives as well. The gap shows how women get paid less than men as their job co-workers and provides possible solutions to balance the salaries of men and women. During the speech, I have explained the gender wage gap, how it plays such a vital role in today's society, how women get paid significantly less than men, and how to resolve the equal pay by providing solutions. Balancing the gender wage gap will bring equality for women across the country. Thank you.